Hey you guys, this is Josh
and Carolyn
with Homesteading Family, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pantry Chat Food for Thought.
This week we are answering your guys' questions.
Absolutely.
Yay, but you know what? You're on the wrong side.
What are you doing over there? I don't know.
My neck doesn't turn naturally this way as easily.
That's funny. Well, and I'm kind of behind you a little too.
Yeah.
So,
well,
we switched places.
Just to throw you guys off. We're out here today in the cottage garden. You guys are getting a little bit of a different view behind me. Do you see that right there? That's the entryway to the cottage garden that Josh built for me this spring. I absolutely love it.
Better late than never.
Well, true enough, but it's been a wonderful addition to the cottage garden. You know, what I'm thinking is that
look at
the way...
No, somebody asked about pollinators. No, we have not lost any of our pollinators. We're bringing more pollinators
we've got
in.
More and more every year.
Which we're thankful for.
Like, look at you and I. We are dressed like fall, and it's cool here today.
I gotta tell you, today was the first day it felt like fall, and it's a quick turning.
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of people around here are thinking it might be an early winter.
2 weeks ago, we had excessive heat warnings up here, and this morning we had a frost warning. So the seasons change quickly sometimes when they change.
Well, and that's life in North Idaho, in a lot of places in the north.
Yeah.
It just changes quick.
Yeah.
And that's okay because we got a lot of moisture in August after so much dry.
Yes.
And I know the Northwest did, and it helped out a lot with the fires. A lot of that has been dampened down.
Yeah.
And so very thankful for that. August, we don't usually get much rain.
Yeah.
And we got over 3 inches. So that was good.
Yay.
Yeah, so what is going on with you? There's been a lot happening here at Riverbend and Homesteading Family.
Yes. Yeah, a lot happening on both fronts. So you guys have been hearing about the dairy class coming out for, months now? And we released the dairy class. So yay, this is great.
That was exciting. There are
exciting.
A lot of people in there.
Yeah.
Almost thousands.
Yeah, it is amazing.
Yeah, a lot of you guys jumped in on that, and that has been exciting to see everybody get going.
Yay, that's really fun. It is now available for purchase on our website if you didn't get a chance to jump in on that initial opening, so you can go grab that. There was a secret kind of opening to something brand new that happened right along with that dairy class. And that is our brand new Homestead Kitchen membership.
That's right. A new membership, a new community. This is really exciting.
Very exciting.
And we're just kicking it off. And I know you're going to have a lot of questions, and we'll answer those over the next few weeks because there will be a larger release coming soon.
Yes, you can't jump into it right now. It was kind of a secret initial launch, but coming up right around the beginning of November.
I think so.
We're going to be opening that membership up to you guys, and there's going to be a lot of fun things in there, so it's really exciting. I'm really excited. It's really fun.
Yeah, and you guys want to get in there this year because I think, thinking about next year already as we're coming into winter, and this membership is just going to be a huge boost to your homesteading life and to whatever's coming in 2022. Yeah.
This would be really good.
Hey, and you didn't mention it, but there's going to be some more free training, and the only public free training for dairy coming up here in about a week, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And so keep your eyes out on that. Matter of fact, I think we should be able to get a link in here for that.
We can give you a link.
So I think it'll be the only free public training of the year for dairy. So, you want to check that out if you were at all into dairy or thinking about getting into dairy.
It is amazing how quickly the year is, we're starting to think about the end of the year. This is the last one of the year. Does that just seem crazy already?
It does. In one way it seems kind of funny because it's just September, but this is part of living the homesteading life and being prepared and efficient, and is just thinking ahead, and the seasons start changing, the temperature starts changing, and so we're thinking about not just fall and preserving and animals, but we're thinking about winter and even the thoughts of next year creep in there.
Absolutely. It goes fast. So before I tell you more about what I've been doing on the homestead, I wanted to say, what are you drinking there?
What did you give me? I know this is a tea from a follower of ours that has been with us for a very, very long time. I think about since from the beginning.
I think
Rose
so.
Felton. Hi, Rose.
Thank you, Rose, for sending us this great
But
tea.
you know the name of the tea. I don't know. It's very good.
Okay, I probably am going to mess up, but it's their No More Coffee. It's her No More Coffee tea. You guys know that I really like the hazelnut coffee tea from Farmhouse Teas.
It's really good.
That's been a really good one for when I'm trying to not drink so much coffee, but I want something good and roasty. And so Rose started selling some teas from an Etsy shop over at, let's see, it's Felton Farm Teas over on Etsy. And so she sent me some of her No More Coffee tea, and it is really good. We turned it into a latte today, and we're enjoying that. So thank you very much.
Do we have a link we can put in?
Oh, we'll find one, and we will put a link in for you guys down in the description.
Good.
Okay, so on the homestead, Italian prunes.
Coming?
Those are in.
Those are in. You picked them?
We picked them, and we're going into
Where was
the...
I missed
I
that
just
one.
like zip
This
out
is how
and
much
do
gets
things.
going on right now. Yeah, there was just a lot going on. I mean, there's stuff going on in the barn that you probably don't even know about.
I
It's just
totally
it's
believe that.
amazing.
Yeah. So we have those going
wow,
into
cool.
the dehydrator right now, but I'm playing with something new. I'm experimenting. So this is really fun. You guys, we have put up and canned so many pickles this year. I kind of just had to call a halt and just said, there's only so many pickles anybody needs.
Hey, you know what? Sorry to interrupt, but that's perfect because I meant to ask you as I was going through because the hoop house has gotten so incredibly crowded.
Okay.
If we can take the cucumbers out or...
Well, you're going to have to wait until the answer to my experiment comes out in a couple of days.
All right.
Because what I did is I took cucumbers and first I sliced them long ways. Like, how would you explain that? Like, not
Long
the
ways?
way you do hamburger slices, but the other way for pickles. So I used my food processor with a blade so that it was all really equal. And then I did a dill pickle ferment. So I just did a regular ferment in a crock. And now I'm scooping them out of the crock. We laid them out on dehydrator trays and on freeze dryer trays because I really want to see if dill pickle chips work.
Cool.
I'm really excited about that. So we're going to see if freeze-dried dill pickles are any good and dehydrator pickles. So you guys will have to remind me by asking questions about how it went, and I will tell you. And if they're really good, then no, you can't take out the cucumbers yet.
That's good because there are cucumbers on there, but everything's getting a little crowded. So
it is getting a little crowded.
Yep.
So just lots and lots of preserving happening right now. The carrots are about to come out and go into the root cellar.
Onions just came out and are curing.
Onions are curing.
Yeah,
Beets are now in the root cellar. Well, root cellar. We call it the root cellar. We don't have one of those. But
Not yet. It's a basement. We use it as a root cellar, and it works pretty good.
Yeah.
We're going to get a little cooler air moving in there this year, which will help mimic a true root cellar.
Yeah.
So we can get one of those in the hillside. But
one day.
A lot more coming in. The onions, I think, are near double production.
There are a lot of onions.
Yeah. But that's the case with everything. There's going to be a lot more squash this year, a lot more corn.
Mm-hmm.
The beans have been incredible. I've been seeing large bushel baskets of beans coming in like every other day.
We have over 100 quarts now on the shelf of canned green beans.
Yeah.
Not to mention just eating them fresh and fermenting them and doing all sorts of great things with them.
So harvest season is in full swing.
Full swing, absolutely. But what are you doing while I'm doing all that?
Well,
work?
I was just off hiking in the mountains.
Oh, yeah, you took off and went backpacking.
Fish. That's right. And I took one of your sons.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's good.
Connor and I took off for a father-son trip for a few days for his birthday. And we went hiking up in Glacier National Park. That was really exciting.
And you did some fishing.
And we did some fishing, yeah. And we caught some nice fish, and we had a great time. And, my goal was to get these young men out there and challenge them. Mm-hmm. I think I was the one that was challenged. 26 miles.
The way that goes, isn't
26 miles in 3.5 days. That was a great experience. We pushed ourselves and had some great time and caught some nice fish.
And you made it home in time for a good homestead work day the next day.
That we did. That's right. Yeah, we're getting a pump house winterized. We put that in a couple years ago, and it's been dried in but not finished. Mm-hmm. Getting that done. Getting the exterior of the addition done. Hey, some barn changes. We've been slowly remodeling the barn, and we've got cooney pigs coming here in just a few days.
Yes.
And these are our breeding pigs. We've raised pigs seasonally for many, many years. Mm-hmm. and have been very slow to get to buying a breeding pair, but we've wanted to, and now we have those coming. So we're having to remodel the barn a bit to get ready for them. And that's happening, and believe it or not, we're already starting to get set up for chicken processing.
Yay!
Coming here in just a little over a week, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. We have 150 chickens this year.
No 220, 25, whatever that was. If you guys have seen that video, that was cool. And we really got that done. But that was a bit of a day.
Yeah, it was.
And 150 still is a lot in one day, but it's doable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
good.
It's
Lots
just all about
things.
fall. Yeah.
Oh, and the shearer's coming. So we have our
Hank the
very first shearing, our great wool coming from our brand new Cotswold sheep. And it's going to go from the shearer right down to the wool mill where they're going to spin it for me into yarn. And then we'll see. I don't know. I may just claim the first spinning of these new. I don't know. We'll see how much comes back, because I was thinking about opening up a little shop and selling you guys some of this incredible yarn off the homestead.
Wow, that'd be pretty special if you're going to give up some of the first.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. So anyways, it's all exciting stuff around here. But
sure is. And you know what? We're also getting ready for hunting season. That is a part of our provision. And we've got 2 additional hunters this year, which is a lot more work getting them ready. So you have to get out and practice. If you're hunting or you're moving to a new area, there's a lot of people moving in the country right now. Don't just go buy a gun, shoot it a few times, and go hunt. You need to practice.
Yeah.
Regularly for a couple of months. So we are now shooting every week.
You're taking all of the teenagers out.
Yep.
They're all going to hunt this year.
Yep.
So both 2 boys and one of the girls, and they're all very excited. But yeah, when you're practicing ethical hunting, you want to make sure that you are a very good shot.
We want to be a good shot. Yeah, we don't want to be wounding animals and losing them. We don't want to be wasting our time. So there's a lot that goes into that to get everybody prepped. Yeah.
There is when you have 3 teenagers involved.
Yeah, well,
they're good shots.
Oldest one, he's good to go. He's on his own. He's just getting in his practice.
Yep.
And dialing in. So cool.
Oh, good.
Right on. Well, we better get on to their
Sounds
questions.
Good.
Yeah, okay.
Now, last week I did the live Q&A while you were gone, but there were a lot of questions that came up that either I wasn't going to answer because they're kind of your questions, or I just wasn't able to get to. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed that. And you know what? The internet held the whole time, so you and I can do a live Q&A at some point too, right here from the house, which is really exciting.
Yeah, we're thankful for Starlink. It is making our life a little easier.
Absolutely.
And it's going to help, I think, a lot of homesteaders, a lot of us that are in rural areas, stay a little better connected.
That's exciting.
All right, so jumping in here.
Okay, what if I ask you a question?
Yeah,
here?
You should. I like
Michelle Norton on the Compost FAQ post on Facebook asks, will my compost expire? I think this is a great question.
Okay, it is a good question.
Go bad or stop being active? Or
right. Well, no, there's no expiration date. It's not going to expire on you, really, other than it could dry out depending on your environment. It could get dry, and if it gets overly dry, then, yes, it's going to deteriorate in quality. Just because the biology that's living in there needs moisture. Healthy soil needs moisture and oxygen along with everything else that's in your compost. So you wouldn't want to let it dry out. It would take a nice sized pile a long time to do that. And otherwise, too much rain could leach it. And so you could have some things that are going to slow it down and damage it, I guess, but it's not really going to expire. And if you're growing very much food, your problem's going to be getting enough, not worrying about not using it.
Right. Yeah. It's always hard to get the amount of compost that would be great. Let's see. You kind of already touched on this, but Patricia Hall asked, have you noticed any loss of pollinators?
No, and I was wondering, Patricia, where your question was coming from on that. Maybe because of some of the earthworks we've done and the terracing and whatnot. But no, in fact, we are seeing an increase across the board as we are planting more on this property and putting more areas into more production besides just grass or, bare earth in some places. And so this year being our 3rd season, we're actually seeing a substantial increase in pollinators in the butterflies, in birds, and in everything.
Yeah.
Really, really
So you can
good.
see this area right behind us is the cottage part, just a little part of the cottage garden here. And all of these flowers here are bringing in pollinators. This area used to just be lawn. That was all that was here. And so this is true around the whole property, even though we're just seeing a little part of it here. We have put in so many flowering plants that we are just bringing in pollinators from all over. So I know some areas in general are seeing pollinator loss, but here on the property, we're actually seeing it really increase.
Well, and we're pretty remote. We don't have a lot of flowers wild, and we just saw our first real honeybees, non-wild pollinators, but honeybees here. And so that's exciting, because that's a clue to us that maybe in the next couple of years we can dive into honeybees.
Yes.
We need to continue to increase the flowers and the trees and everything for the bees, but we're getting there, so that's exciting.
Almost have enough bee food.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. It's getting there. Yep.
Good.
Those clovers are helping too. Okay, question for you from Bobby Aller on fruit leather kids will love. Do you use the juice concentrate simply thawed, or do you make the juice per package instructions?
Yes, absolutely. No, just simply thaw the concentrate. If you're using that, then yeah, just thaw it. You do not want to add the water to it to make the juice per the instructions. Don't do that. Just thaw it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, and Phil Wiles on fermented ginger carrots. Oh, those are some of my favorite, Phil. Those things are like I don't need candy.
Have you had the
carrots.
Spicy carrots that I have? Yeah, you've had some.
Yeah,
of those
you
in
brought
the
some out mixed in with the onions and some of the other things.
You guys, I found a new type of fermenting vessel that I am in love with, and it is a glass fermenter with the old-fashioned the water channel for an old-fashioned airlock. I am so in love with these because you can see what's in them on the counter. It's kind of like using a jar, only it's much more accessible, and it's kind of has a built-in airlock. So I'm about to get myself 2 or 3, maybe even 4 more, so I can have all of these different ferments going, because when they're in that glass, we are eating them like crazy. It's really exciting, but I didn't answer their question. I just started talking.
I kind of wondered, but I thought maybe we better move on.
I got so excited about these things.
With the Whey from the refrigerated natural yogurt purchased from a grocery store still be active? Will the Whey is what he meant to say.
Yes, it will. Yeah, that will be, as long, you just want to make sure you're not getting flavored yogurt or any yogurt that has a bunch of additives in it, like gums or stabilizers or anything like that.
Cool.
Okay. We actually talked about that one last time.
This one?
Oh, you want me to answer that? Okay, I see. Ask you. I got it. I'm onto it now. I caught on.
We're working together most of the time.
Okay. The Hunter and the Bull Homestead.
Wow.
I like that.
The Hunter and the Bull,
says,
right.
love your chickshaw. Love. That's how it's written. Just so you guys know, that's how it's written.
I love my chickshaw too.
Love your chickshaw. Did you create that from creativity, or did you use plans?
Well, neither. I can't take total credit for it, but I am not good at boilerplate and plans. So I got that from 2 sources. One from Jeff Lawton's farm in Australia that I spent some time on studying permaculture, and 2 from Justin Rhodes, who also spent some time on Jeff Lawton's farm and made his own design from that experience. And if you've ever seen his permaculture chickens, he teaches you all how to build that. So if you like boilerplate, Justin's got a great design. I modified that to work for us, just the way I like to build it, and came out great.
Yeah, I think you have a video out that kind of explains that, because you modified it to be more appropriate for the snow loads we get up here in the colder weather.
Well, I did on the, I think what you're referring to is the chicken tractors.
Oh, okay.
Which, yes, I had to modify those too, because I don't do boilerplate. But this is the chickshaw for the hens that are they're out there in the the future food forest area there, and so yeah, that's just a modification.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
But very close to something Jeff Lawton would do or Justin Rhodes.
Okay.
All righty, here, let's see. RN Sanders on Homestead Dairy Clabbered Milks asks, can I clabber the leftover whey after I've made mozzarella?
Interesting question, which is no. No, after you make the mozzarella, you're actually taking out the proteins that would clabber in a clabbered milk. So you're going to lose that. And unfortunately, after you make something like a mozzarella, the way you need to get it into the refrigerator really quickly if you're going to use it for something. Now, what you can do is you can make a ricotta out of that right after you make your mozzarella. As long as it's within 3 hours of finishing your mozzarella, you can turn around and make a ricotta out of that whey. But you wouldn't want to clabber the whey itself.
Cool.
There you go.
It's a good thing I didn't answer that. I would have got it half right.
Half right, okay. Well, that's better than
all right.
This one's for you.
Okay. Pete
Gerard asks, on the wild fermented elderberry wine video, you did 3 of those.
That's a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. Is the end product shelf stable, or does it need to be refrigerated?
No, it's absolutely shelf stable. You're just going to bottle it like any beverage, either cork it or cap it properly. And, all of those do best in a cooler, environment for long-term storage and not a lot of temperature fluctuation. But no, it does not need to be refrigerated.
Yay.
Yeah. All right. Jeannie Hawk on Waitlist exclusive cheese press options. Can I use frozen milk that I thaw to make cheese? That's a good question. I like that.
Yes. Sometimes. I wish I could give you just a yes or no answer in this. Sometimes the milk seems to get a little denatured from the freezing. Most of the times you will have success using that frozen milk thawed then to make cheese. But if you have some random cheese failures, it might be because of the frozen milk. It just does happen sometimes.
So it's
a little less of a sure
it's
thing.
Not dependable.
Than just,
It's not dependable. It sounds
like.
Yeah. All right, Mother's Helper 1981 on fermented ginger carrots. You can tell people are harvesting their carrots.
Yes.
Could you take the carrots that didn't fit the first time and, assuming things settle down to a slightly lower level, she's watched the video very well, could you add those carrots the next day or a couple of days later?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can add to your ferments, especially while it's actively fermenting. So if you still see bubbles, so the next day or a couple days later, then that would definitely fit this scenario. You're still seeing active bubbling in there, then you can go ahead and add to your collection of ferments. You don't really want to do after it stops bubbling, mainly for the reason that at that point, the activity from the fermenting is slowing back down, and if you start introducing new bacteria, you can change it and cause the entire batch to spoil. You also won't get the same flavors or the same type of ferment at that point. So within the first few days, yes. After that, probably not.
Right.
Okay.
Carolyn Parker on the Pantry Chat feeding hungry boys. What kind of freeze dryer do you use?
We have a Harvest Right freeze dryer, and we have the large version of it, which is large for home use. Still maybe a little small for our family, but most things are. So
you kind of need commercial everything.
We do.
Yeah. But yeah, that is a wonderful machine.
And we got the upgraded oil pump.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what, I have not had to change the oil on it yet, which is one of those things that can be kind of a pain with a freeze dryer. If you get the standard oil pump, you have to change the oil on that every 2 to 3 uses, I think is what's recommended.
It's quite a bit, yeah.
If you get the upgraded one, it goes to like 35 to 45 uses every that many that you have to change the oil. And I have not had to do it yet. So that I've been really pleased with that. So.
And that makes a big difference in your efforts.
Yes.
And now that upgraded oil one, it has that benefit. There is an oilless one.
Oh, okay.
But know that it's much louder.
Okay.
Is what I was told. And so if you're looking into these and options, the oilless one would be cool, but it's much louder. So depending on where you house it, that could be a problem. And so this one's great because it's not loud.
No, it really isn't.
And it really goes a long time between oil changes.
Yeah.
Okay. Hoof and Peck Homestead on how to finance your homestead. Question for you guys. How do you store your mason jars? We currently put our jars back into the box as they came in. We've sure done that. And put them on the shelf. But this doesn't seem as good or as efficient as it could be. Thanks.
This is a great question, and this is a real challenge. You know, there is this school of thought that says, well, if you have, let's say your family needs, 52 jars of tomato sauce a year, and you're going to can that much every year. Theoretically, you should be able to pull a full jar off and then put an empty jar right back into the spot that the full jar came from and rotate that way. The problem is you need to still be able to access your other full jars, which means you have to pull everything off the shelf to put one behind in the empty spot. That does not really work. It really bothered me for a long time. Like, it's the same amount of jars, whether they're full or empty. Why can't I make this work? And I finally realized that just doesn't work. So the way I like to do it is have 1 or 2 shelves just open to receive the empty jars. And then as the amount of jars, you know, they're not going to hold all of the jars that I own empty, but they hold enough for me to start emptying the shelves out. And then I can start expanding where I store the empty jars. I hope that made sense.
That totally makes sense. It made me think of another option that I could suggest, because if you have the space to have some empty shelving, it seems another thing you could do is, like, if you've got your row, say of spaghetti sauce, if you could leave an empty row, full row, so that your jar goes into that and you pull off of one row, it would just kind of move over. A little bit of a puzzle.
That would make perfect sense, but I tell you what, maybe this is a male-female thing.
Might be.
I want to stand in front of a shelf that is packed filled with filled jars. So that would be like full
you use them
and then
all.
empty. That's true. Yeah.
It would slowly transition.
Slowly move to different. So maybe that would work. So so just space out your things more so that you have
just
room
have one,
for the empty.
Right. All you would need is one full row, I think.
Right.
So that as you use a row, it just goes over to there, and then when you've used that row, you filled up this row with empties, and you now have another empty row, and it just kind of slides over. And you could, if you did that, it takes a little planning, but if you did that, then that could work for all your jars.
You're brilliant.
Once in a while, I have a good idea.
That's amazing. I like that one.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. Let's see here. Katie Johnson on how to make butter. I'm new to this, but what about the tap water with chlorine and fluoride when you wash your butter? Good question.
This is a good question.
KD. Also, wrapping the butter in plastic. What else can you wrap it in? I like the thinking, keeping it clean.
This is very good.
Yeah.
So you're probably referring to the butter making videos. I think there might be 2 of them out there.
That sun feels
that
good.
Sun is great. It might get a little hard to see on the video.
Might get hot too.
Feels good.
Yeah.
And in the video, I just go to the sink and I wash the butter with running water from the sink. I can do this because we're not on city water. So sorry guys. If you're on city water and you do have fluoride and chlorine in your water and anything else that they use in city water, I would recommend using a filtered water or a distilled water to go ahead and wash your butter with, or kind of most of the other things you're actually going to consume. So I think that's a great question.
Well, and if you are on city water, you're probably not really excited about drinking it either. So you're probably filtering it, or you want a way to filter it. And the Berkeys are great.
Yes.
And they have fluoride filters.
And that's exactly what we used when we lived on city water. Is we had a large Berkey, and we did all of our cooking with that, all of the drinking with it. In anything that we had to do that we were going to consume the water, we would go ahead and just run it through the Berkey. So that's really good. The second part of the question was asking about storing the butter in saran wrap and not wanting the plastic to touch the butter, which is a great thought. I really like that. You could use parchment paper instead. They used to have something that was called butter paper. If you look really hard, you might be able to find it. That's because people used to make butter a lot more than we do now. And so they used to be more available to actually buy butter paper, which is just kind of like a waxed, it's almost like a wax paper,
like thinner. I'm just thinking of the paper that butter from the store comes in. It must be like a thinner wax paper,
pretty much like that. So you could use that too. But you know what the trick is? You guys might have heard me say this. I just learned the trick in the last few months about how to not go crazy when you're using parchment paper. Because it comes out and it rolls all up in the tube that it was in, like no matter what you do.
That happens to you too?
This is one of these little tricks just made my life so, I was so excited about this. It solved a very real problem for those of us who use parchment paper. You take the parchment paper and you crumple it out all up in a ball. And then when you straighten it back out, it doesn't roll up on you.
Good tip.
Isn't that brilliant?
I like it.
Okay.
Brief pause while the train goes by.
We have a train going by.
Okay.
Well, we do have a train who that goes right by the property, and sometimes it gets a little loud. So I think it has moved on now.
Hard to talk over. Yep. Alrighty, let's see here. Lou Rolstad on cheese will fail unless you do this. Says, I have rented already from past cheese making attempts. Never calcium chloride. Where does a person purchase that? And for culture, what would I use?
Okay. So there are quite a few places that you can get rennet. The place that we are getting it and that I have gotten it from for years is from New England Cheese Supply Company. The website is cheesemaking.com. I'll put a link down in the description for you guys, and they have rennet for you there. Now, when I'm making cheese at oh, I'm sorry, that was calcium chloride. Same thing. They have calcium chloride there. You said you had rennet. And as for the culture, the way that I like to make cheese is to make my own culture. So that works really well for the store-bought milks. That's what we were talking about in this particular video. So you can just use a homemade culture, or you can use whatever culture is called for in your cheese making recipe, which you can also buy at New England Cheese Supply Company.
Cool.
Yeah. How's
All
that?
right.
Okay.
Good.
You ready for one?
Sure.
All right. Simply raising arrows on your cheese will fail says, how do you find local farmers that sell their products?
Right. Well, one of the best ways is local farmers market. You're often going to have your people there, but not all of your local farmers go to the farmers market. So really the next best thing is, if you don't know somebody, is to just get online and go see good old Google Pants or one of the alternatives.
Google Pants?
That's what, Google Pants.
All right, Google Pants.
Yeah, or I like Start Page, or there's some of the other ones that are a little more incognito.
Mm-hmm.
Don't track everything you do.
Yep.
So check one of your search engines, and really you can just, put in, your town, your area, and then what it is you're searching for, whether it's local chicken, local beef, veggies, and just do a little bit of searching.
Yeah.
That's,
another great way to find what you have available to you locally. Now, this goes the opposite direction of going a little more incognito and not tracking all your information, but that is to go into your local Facebook groups. If you have groups that are in your area and have information about your area, and just start asking there, because a lot of times people will have that information and be really happy to share. And if you don't have a garden, and you don't have access directly to a farmer, make sure you look out for local CSAs where you can get like boxes. It's kind of like going out to your garden and harvesting whatever's ripe. You get a harvest box from a local farm. And that can be a great way to go if you are needing to buy in produce.
Yeah, and it's also one of the more economical ways if you're buying in produce. You have to learn how to cook with what you get.
Yep.
But it's
Which
more
is a
economical.
good skill to learn.
It is, and it's the CSAs are a good system.
They also support the farmers more because they know what they can expect. It's like a membership program, so they know what kind of sales they can expect. So it actually really helps the local farmers when you become a member of the CSA.
Yeah.
So, good.
All right, Dr. Rock on make crispiest, crunchiest pickles ever. Can I add hot peppers to this or red chili flakes? Dr. Rock, I like your thinking.
Yes, you can. You just want to keep the dry spice total ingredients in the recipe at about the same amount. So you would want to decrease one of the other dry spices, and then you could put those red pepper flakes right in there, and ooh, that would be great. Be really good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Abercolder on an IG post says, I have a question about your Pomona's fruit leather recipe. Do I need to use white grape juice concentrate? I've made leathers in the past by simply blending my plums, and we love the flavor, but looking for better texture. Will Pomona's give texture without the juice? Thanks.
Yes, you can certainly do that. The challenge with the Pomona's pectin is that you have to blend that pectin in with something. But if you're happy with an all fruit leather, like you're not going to add sugar or anything like that, which is great, then blending it right into the fruit itself is a wonderful way to go. You'll just have to follow the directions as if you were using the white grape juice concentrate, but instead of having it be white grape juice concentrate, just blend it up with a little bit of your actual plums, right? I think she said plums.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing, and that would be so good. All right, let's see. Laura M6718 asks, what is the time of year to plant elderberries?
Hey, good question. And you know, that's it depends question on both your climate and the elderberries. Generally the spring, and generally as soon as the ground is workable. Especially if you are planting cuttings or bare root that haven't leafed out yet. You want to get those in as early as you can, but try to avoid any freezes. And that can be the trick in some of our northern mountainous climates, is getting it in after the freezes are stopped, but not too late that it gets so hot. But you know, if they're close and you can give them a lot of attention, that's okay. If they're potted, if you're buying some potted ones, you've got a little more leeway, but certainly best in any of the colder climates to get it in the spring so that it will root out well before winter and have a better chance of surviving.
There we go. I think we need a shirt that says, Josh says it depends. Can that be a homesteading family shirt?
That could be. Yeah.
That is the answer. I like it. Okay.
All right. Step Pruitt on Instagram is asking from the White Bean Chili Post. I watched your family's names at the county fair. Okay. But no luck. Watched for your family's names.
Yes.
At the county fair, but no luck. Worried you'd steal all the first place ribbons away. Well, our kids sure might.
Yeah, the kids absolutely might. And in fact, in past years, they have done really, really well. But this year we were so busy, we actually had to make the decision not to join in on entering anything into the county fair because the kids were actually involved in so many other things. So you were in luck this year. And the kids did not take all of the prizes, but usually they do well, but there are a lot of prizes at the county fair. But it's always fun to get to go to the local fairs. And you know, I think it's really neat to get to support the entries into it and have people do the entries. It just is so much like, you know, I don't know, an old-fashioned our fair is very much
very
like
much an
old-fashioned fair. And so I love just getting to support people entering and really getting to showcase what they're making in their homes and to get credit for it. That's kind of fun.
I really love it. It's much more about the animals and what people are growing and doing and the shows out in the arena than necessarily just all the rides and all the whatever you call that stuff.
Yeah.
I can't think of it.
I can't. Carnival.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? The house is coming alive. Things are starting to go on.
The little nappers are starting to wake up.
Teenagers are coming home. So I think we better get going.
All right, you guys. It's been great hanging out with you.
See you soon.
Goodbye.